This is Mwangi Wajumbe, a professional trainer on strategy, performance management, change management, and also leadership. Also an author of 2 publications. I'll discuss about that later, as I have discussed in the past. Today, I want us to look at an issue that is of great concern to the education system. Early this term, in January, when military schools opened, I was able to interact with a number of schools, just like I've been doing in the last few years. But their experiences are of great concern, because I realized that schools are not properly funded. They are not able to meet their requirements. They are only able to sustain students in school just by providing them with food and basic needs. So the issue of empowerment or other strategies of empowering students are rather secondary and of little consideration, as we learned in the beginning of the term. Now, and this is now of great concern because the standards of education are going down. And the standards of education are going down because of reduced funding. And what has caused this reduced funding? Remember, in the past, I have been indicating that the school system needed to have been transformed through a continuous improvement process, rather than total overhaul of the school curriculum. Why so? You remember in 2023, this 844 system had the sciences and humanities stopped from being compulsory. What is compulsory now is only mathematics and one language. In the same way, the 844 system could easily have introduced the 3 empowerment pathways in the school system. That is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, commonly known as STEM, then humanities, and finally arts and sports. Had the authorities consulted properly, that would have been the way to go. The only other thing that could have been introduced is the training methodology of teachers, which they would use for empowering students. What is known as rote learning or memorizing could have come to an end. Instead, it will be a matter of taking students through a process of applying the knowledge that they have acquired in real life. I don't see what would have been very difficult in training teachers on how to do that. Yet, that is now the only other major change in the 844 system, in the competency-based curriculum approach. So, the changes in the 844 system, just like now what has been implemented in what is being implemented in the CBC, would have been changing the training methodology and implementing the 3 empowerment pathways. Remember, even in the CBC currently, the content has not changed. The content has largely remained the same. In other words, what would have been implemented is a continuous improvement process as opposed to total overhaul of the education system, which would not have been necessary. And because of doing that, you now notice that classes were built during the last regime. There was one class that was introduced in secondary schools, which was meant to be for grade 7. That was abandoned by the current regime. And instead, the regime introduced grade 9 in primary schools, now renamed as junior secondary school, which has 3 classes of grade 9, 8, and 7. In my view, had proper consulting been done in the transformation of the 844 system or the transformation of the education system, those infrastructural changes would not have been necessary at all. In fact, the other thing that happened is that there is serious shortage of teachers in the in the competency-based curriculum, or mainly the junior secondary schools. Now, had again consulting been done properly, new teachers would have not been necessary at all. All that could have happened is to modernize the existing teachers and align them with new training methodology. As I said, rote running would have come to an end, or memorizing that has been associated with the education system since time immemorial would just have come to an end, just like is the case with the 844, with the competency-based curriculum. So, if the continuous improvement process was to be followed or was followed, there would have been no new teachers. There would have been no new classes. There would have been no new technicalities, like laboratories which have been constructed in primary schools now, and of course a new class that has been introduced in a primary school, now considered as junior secondary school. Now, look at the wastage that is happening in secondary schools. There's a class that is not in use. I do not know whether the teachers are fully engaged. They only have 3 classes in senior schools. So, in my view, what ought to have happened is take the education through a continuous improvement process in line with global dynamics, in line with the changes that are happening in the entire world, as we continue progressing in the education system. So, we do not have, or we never needed to wait for 40 years or 30 years to transform the education system through a new curriculum. In any case, we could have borrowed a leaf very easily from the British international curriculum, which has been going through modernization every 3 years without necessarily having to shape the curriculum. Now, I don't know whether the changes that have taken place in our system are going to help achieve the desired objectives, if even funding is almost, becoming impossible. In other words, the standards of education are going down instead of improving because of the not considering the transformation process properly. Now, I can share more and more on this, but for now, I encourage all to read our publication titled Career Dynamics in the 21st Century, sub-theme Unleashing the Human Performance Potential, which was used by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development for architecture of the CBC, sometimes in 2016. Also, you can read the advancement titled Living Beyond Survival, sub-theme No More Tiptoeing in Life. Those publications will help you understand properly how the education system ought to have gone through the necessary transformation without drastic changes. We are still available for conducting seminars. We have seminars for teachers in secondary schools, particularly. We have seminars for students in secondary schools. And now, the same can be spread to students in the junior secondary school, because we understand that they are also having challenges of aligning themselves with the transformation that is being experienced in the education system. And for more on this, we can be contacted through 0722 516210. Thank you and have a very good day.